Okay, let's go and dive into a few examples now. And I'm going to tell you, some of them are going to be an exam, I'll tell you which one. So let's say we're going to discuss this also called simple interest rate swap. Simple interest rate swap. So let's say we have three-year loan, okay? 3-year loan that pays LIBOR plus 3%. We can call it 100 million. So this is the loan amount, 100 million. The rate is plus 3%, and term is 3 years. Okay? So before we do any hedging or swap, let's project their cash flow as a company. So I'm going to do 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6 payments, 3 years. This is 6-month payments, right? Like a bond. So I'm going to put the spread. It doesn't change. 3%, 3%, 3%, 3%, and 3%. So let's say we're going to look at the LIBOR forwards. Somebody mentioned that, I went to the LIBOR futures market and I look at how they project LIBOR the next 3 years. This is the 6-month LIBOR. So let's say I have to do the LIBOR spread and LIBOR. So today's LIBOR 0. Let's say LIBOR today is 1%, which actually we know is not, but the example I'm going to have here is 1%. And we're projecting LIBOR is going to increase every 6 months, about 25 basis points. Of course, you're going to have a little jump here, about 50 basis points, another jump, and another jump. So we are projecting, based on the futures index and what's the demand and supply, that LIBOR is going to increase for the next 3 years. If that was the case, without doing any swap, the company, this is a company, right, that has this loan, what is the cash flow they have to pay for the actual payments? Of course, the way I do it, you lock in the 1% for 6 months, plus 3, so the first payment is going to be 4% on 100 million for 6 months. So that's going to be $2 million of interest payment. You see how I got that? What I did, I said LIBOR plus the spread times 100 million. Now, because it's every 6 months, the spread is a 6 months. 3% is an annual. So that's what I did. So LIBOR plus 3%. LIBOR is 1% plus 3% divided by 2 times 100. It's all percent, by the way. So this is 2% times 100. $2 million payment in the first 6 months. Next one, you lock in after 6 months, rates go up, you lock in 1.25% plus 3. So at the end of 6 months, you have to make an interest payment. So it's 1.25 plus 3 is 4.25 times 100. is 4,025,000 divided by 2. So it's 2,125,000. It's a million. The next 6 months, 18 months from now, let's say LIBOR goes up. So now you log in the 150 plus 3. So that's 4.5% times 100. It's 4.5 million divided by 2 because it's 6 months. So we're talking about 2.5. I'm going to continue with the same. So at 2.25. Then it goes to 2.275. Then it goes to 2.6. So it's 275, 375, and let me see, 220, 225, 375, 275, 2625, because it's 2.25 plus 3, so that's 5.25. 5.25 times 100 is 5.25 divided by 2, 2.625, and the last payment is 2.75 million. Okay, so that's projecting your interest payment on the 100 million for the next 3 years, every 6 months. Okay, any questions there? Everybody got that, right? Yes? Yes. But let's assume you don't want to have that situation. So now you want to swap to a 5% fixed. That's the swap rate. They give you a 5% fixed if you want to. No short amount. So let's do the hedging here, the swap agreement. I'm going to do the cash for the swap agreement. I'm going to do this 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I'm going to do the same thing over here. I'm going to compare the tables. Okay? So actually I don't need so many boxes. So if this is the payments, right? How many payments? This is the actual rate, fixed rate. So it's 5%, 5%, 5%. Doesn't change. 5%, 5%. And this is the cash flow. What do you think the cash flow is going to be if you fix the 5% for a year? What's the payment every 6 months? Anyone knows?
5% was divided by 2.
Yes, so yes? 2.5, right? Because 5% on 100 is 5 million. Divided by 2 is 2.5. So you're projecting, if I get into a fixed swap, remember you're trying to analyze what's best. Okay? So if I get into a fixed swap, I'm going to pay 2.5, 2.5, 2.5, 2.5, and 2.5. Now let's look at, just eyeball it, without getting into calculations. If you get into a fixed today, if you swap, you're going to pay 2.5 next year, 6 months from now. Versus if you are in the floating, you'll be paying only 2. So basically, you're going to be losing $500,000 if you swap into fixed, right? Make sense? If I let it naked, nothing happens, unhedged, it's called unhedged. I'm very vulnerable to LIBOR rates going up. And if LIBOR rates go up the way the futures market is looking, they're going to go up, I'm going to be paying these rates. But if I swap it today, I'm going to be paying this rate. So if I compare to if I don't swap it versus swap, probably here I will pay more. Here also, you're going to pay more. And the difference is, I guess, 375,000, right? Here also you're going to pay more. Here is going to be 250. Here you're going to pay more. Now things are even out now. So years 5 and 6, now here is going to be positive 325, sorry, 125 positive. And here is going to be 250 positive. Okay? So basically, if I add this without doing a present value, it looks like you're going to pay more if you do a swap versus not doing a swap. And the net, if I take some of those here, 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 net, probably you're going to pay 875,000 more. If LIBOR increases the way it's supposed to increase based on the demand and supply of the futures LIBOR. The problem is if you view that LIBOR is going to move faster, then maybe the swap idea. So the break even, if you will, is $875,000, which on a $100 million loan, okay, we're talking about less than 1%. It's 0.87% of the loan. On a $100 million loan, it's going to cost you $875,000. Okay, so of course 8.75%, right? 875,000, 100 million, so it's 0.875. So you might do it because on a $100 million loan, what's $1 million? Less than $1 million to take care of just in case LIBOR moves up. Of course, you're not going to get some arbitrage. Usually these are very close to what the futures are because the other guy that is selling the swap is not going to, he depends the LIBOR will stay low. And even if he goes like that, he might make some money out of it. So that's basically an idea. This is a one case study of a simple interest rate swap. But if you build this on a website, if you build this on a spreadsheet, and you change the LIBORs, you can find the break even that when does it make sense to do the swap and when does not make sense to do a swap. Okay? Any questions on that? Actually, another way of doing this is called the long way. And I think I used to have a homework for you guys to do, but I think because we take an exam next week, I'm not expect you to do it. So if I'm going to do it the long way on Excel, it looks prettier, and you do the present value basis, which is even better. Maybe here I just didn't even do a present value basis. I just did the difference between what you pay and what you don't pay. On a present value basis, it's going to be even much lower than 875. But let's look at that. So let's do the same exact example, right? So, but I'm going to go this way. So I'm going to have outstanding. I'm going to have increase, decrease of the loan. I'm going to have interest rate payments. I'm going to have the LIBOR rate, which is the forward rate. I'm going to have the LIBOR spread. And I'm going to have the total interest. Okay, let's do it. So basically, year 1, or 6 months. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And today is 0. So we're starting with 100 million. Of course, there's no payment, there's no actual payment of the principal payment until the last payment. So 100 minus 0 is 100. 100 minus 0 is the outstanding stays with you until the last payment, and the last payment goes to 0. See that? 100 minus 0 is 100. 100 minus 0 is 100. 100 minus 0 is 100. The last payment, 100, you make the $100 payment, Sometimes they refinance that anyway, so you get 0. Interest rates now, interest payments. Let's do the interest rate LIBOR forward. So I'm going to use that. 1% today, 1.25, 150, 175, 225%. It's all percent, by the way. 275 and 325. Spread is 3%. Starting next year. Next 3%, 3%, 3%, 3%, 3%. So your interest rate, you're going to pay floating rate. You're projecting that you're going to pay 4.25%. 4%. Because it goes like that, right? You lock in today, and 6 months from now you made a payment. So you lock in 150 plus 350 is 5. Sorry, 5. Is it? 4.5. Sorry. This is 3. I'm sorry, it was 3. Sorry. So 4.5, 4.75. 5.25, and then 5.75. So now you calculate, right? Here is 4 times 100 divided by 2. So that's 2 million. Because remember, it's 6 months. These are 6 months payments. So 2 million here, 125, 2.25. Same thing, 2.375, 2.625, and the last payment 2.75. And actually, I'm going to add this total payments because I need to do the IRR. 0 plus 2 is 0. 2 is 25. 0. This is total payments, principal and interest. The last one is $102. So if I invest in the bank, if I do 100 million today, and I pay 221, 225, 2375, 2625, 102, and I do an IRR on Excel. If you do on Excel, equal IRR, and you highlight this and press enter, right? You know how you do Excel highlight, right? You go, let's say here, the column here is C, D, E, F, G, H, I, and the rows, I'm going to start with 5, 6, 7, 8, so 8 is payments, 9, 10, 11. So if you want to calculate the average interest you're going to pay over the next 3 years, right? 6 months interest. You do an IRR. So you open parentheses and say C8, I8, enter, and it will give you a rate of return. And the rate of return I'm getting, and you're going to do double that, right? So if I do the rate of return unhedged, the average IRR equals 4.7289, which is lower than 5%. So your average is lower than if you do a swap. You got it? So at that point, maybe you don't do a swap. If you believe that LIBOR is going to go up, but it's going to go up that much and no more. So you do a little swap analysis. So 4.72 is lower than the 5% fixed. I mean, I went in to the Excel and I changed the LIBOR. I changed it just by half a point. If the LIBOR goes from 2 to 2.375, just half a point here, then the swap might make sense. Because if I do the IRR on the new payments back, I will have got more than 5%. And if you get more than 5%, then you go ahead and do the swap because you fix the rate at 2.5 every 6 months versus an increasing rate all the way to the 3 years from now. In other words, if I had to do this is hedged, right? This is unhedged. Hedged, I will have the same thing, outstanding, increase, decrease of the principal, interest payments, and the rate, fixed rate. I don't have to have a LIBOR. Fixed rate. So if I go here, outstanding will be 100 million, 100 million, 100 million, 100 million, 100 million, and then 0. Actually, the payment will be there. The interest payment will be 2.5 because it's 5% fixed. So it'll be 2.5 6 months payment. If I add all this, I will get 2.5 total payment, 2.5, 2.5, 2.5, 2.5, and the last payment will be 102.5. And I do an IRR for this. Well, by definition, it's going to be 5%. So if I put 100 here, and I highlight this, and do an IRR there, and let's say this is 11, 12, 13, 14, 15 is the payment. Or 16 is the payment. Yeah, 16, 17. So IRR C16 to I16, enter, I will get 5%. By definition, right? Because 5% is 2.5% every 6 months, times 2 is 5%. So, in this case, the swap is more expensive. If they give you a 4.5% swap, you'll take it because if you don't swap, and the LIBOR futures happens, then it's 4.7289. Okay? Any questions?
Formula for total payments, how did you work it out? I can't read it. Is it 3.0 at first one?
This one you mean?
Yeah, that's what. I can't read
0 plus 2 is 2. 0 plus 2, 25 is 125. 0 plus 2.25 is 225. 0, 0, except the last payment, you pay the $100 million original principal payment of the loan, so it's 102.75. You have to add the payments total to make an IRR, right? So we got it? Did you get it? Yeah. It's pretty straightforward, right?
So the bottom one is the fixed and the top one is the
Yeah. In other words, if I swap, I call this swap house, look, I'm worried about the rates. I'm gonna go out crazy. I have this loan, I'm paying LIBOR plus 3%. LIBOR, I know LIBOR is low at 1, but if LIBOR goes to 5% in 3 years, I'm screwed. Because I'm gonna be paying a lot of money at the end. So can we fix it? Yes, we can give you a 5% fixed. Now, swap, because I have someone else on the other side that is willing to take your LIBOR payment and is going to pay fixed. So net you're going to be paying 5%. But we want to run it. So we got this, I call it derivatives department. I said, look, I'm thinking they give me a 5% swap. That's why they're quoting me. If I wanted to swap, they give 5%. What can I do? I said, well, hold on a minute. Let me go to the futures market, and there is an index on LIBOR. Okay? Because that's the market. What the market thinks LIBOR is going to happen in the next 3 years. So let me run it through the spreadsheet. So I'm running the LIBOR forward, going up every year, that we anticipate to go up. I run the cash flows, so my department called me and said, look, I don't think you should do the swap. Because even if the rates will go up, we'll never catch up to the 5% on an average. It will catch up the last 2 payments. This is the only 2 payments it's going to go more than 5%. So you're going to benefit for the next 2 years of a lower interest payment because the LIBOR is not going to move as much as the swap rate fixed. You want to do that. Now, if you have the view, the rates will go higher than what the people think, then you do the swap for $875,000 difference, or $100 million is not a lot, and you sleep at night not knowing what the rate's going to do. That's how it works with a swap. Any questions on that? Okay. We're going to do another interest rate swap before we go to foreign exchange swap. Another example. Similar to what I did on the first one, but